In what may feel a long time ago but was in fact only a decade ago, there was a team that had only been around for a handful of years, already smashing and crushing any opposition in sight in Formula 1. That team was Red Bull Racing, as their Adrian Newey designed cars with some young, supremely talented German at the wheel dominated F1 from 2010 to 2013, with it all ending with the beginning of the V6 hybrid era. Since 2014, it was a rough road to where they now find themselves, with only glimpses of what they used to be being seen only a few times in the space of a few years. Once a more suitable engine supply was found though, the gap to them and championship success began to dwindle. And eventually in 2021, they finally won their first drivers' or constructors' title in 8 years of Max Verstappen's drivers' title success. And in the new era of racing in 2022, despite the Bulls in close competition with the prancing horse, they already have a commanding lead after 9 races in a championship battle that is very much heading in only one direction. But now Red Bull are seemingly back to their best with superstar driver Max Verstappen at the wheel. Are the team and Max Verstappen set to dominate the series for the next few years? I will try to answer that in this video, but guys, remember, if you do like this video, then make sure to smash a like button below. Give me a comment down below as well, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe also. Now, here are the reasons why I do believe Red Bull and Verstappen will dominate F1 for the next few years. We'll start with the team and how firstly they got into their current position. So after a tricky few years, they got their lucky break in 2021 as the regulations were tweaked enough for Red Bull to finally be able to fight for a championship, and they would be going up against the greatest team in F1 history, looking for their 8th consecutive drivers and constructors titles in 2021, Mercedes. They would take their 8th constructors title in a row, but were slayed on the driver's side, with Max Verstappen winning his first title in very dubious circumstances, let's say. Despite that, it was a great season for Max and the team as they headed into a completely new era in 2022, thinking that they had another big fight to win even just one of the titles on offer. But something happened in 2022 that nobody saw coming. Mercedes' performance fell not just way below expected, it practically fell off a cliff. And even though Red Bull are a great team, it certainly let them off big time. Because taking their place in fighting against Red Bull for a championship was a Ferrari team returning after a couple years of banter to provide us with more false hope and comic relief, with the only difference in 2022 that it would be of higher quality than it was in 2020 or 2021. And without any surprise, Ferrari delivered their usual hackery, which is why the current title standings look exactly the way they do. For the next few years, the only team Red Bull needs to seriously sweat over is Mercedes returning to form, as they still have a brilliant team personnel-wise and the best driver lineup on the grid, but currently just don't have a fast enough car. My view is that Mercedes probably next year will be title contenders again, and possibly until the next set of new regulations in 2026, but won't be as strong as they were in the past, which still gives Red Bull good chances at winning championships. But if Mercedes stay where they are right now, which is possible but I would be massively surprised by, then all Red Bull have to do is make a car at worst that is as quick as the Ferrari car, and then wait for the inevitable. That should result in a few titles for the future, unless a team from the midfield comes out of nowhere and wins the championship, which is unlikely to say the least. Now on to Max Verstappen, who I believe is heading for his 2nd driver's title this year, but by the time his current contract at Red Bull ends in 2028, he will likely have a few more titles by then. And as long as Red Bull offer Max a car until 2028 as good as it is currently, then Max will be fine. Max Verstappen is entering the prime of his career, and the only man that can stop him is coming to the last embers of his career, racing for a team that has seen its best years. If Mercedes don't provide Lewis Hamilton a car to fight Max for the championship next year or beyond, then Max should be the new dominant force on the driver's side, as the only 2 drivers other than Hamilton that could challenge him don't exactly have the greatest situations. Charles Leclerc in an equal car or an equally competent team could absolutely beat Max to a couple championships. Leclerc has proven this season to be an amazing qualifier with 6 poles in 9 races so far in 2022 and is improving all the time and maturing all the time. And when you compare his talent to Verstappen's, he is certainly good enough to take down Max. Unfortunately, Leclerc is imprisoned in the hell known as Ferrari until the end of 2024, so he will be handicapped in a fight with Max for the near future. The only other driver who could challenge Max is George Russell, who is definitely talented enough to do so, but is also relying on his team to give him the goods. Like I said earlier, Mercedes, I believe, will improve. They won't be this bad, say for next year or the years coming up, but I don't see them returning to what they were in 2019 or 2020. But when I look at the grid, realistically, Leclerc and Russell are the only drivers that could challenge him given the right circumstances, and even then, Max is, for me, still just a slight bit better than those two, so it is advantage Max. I know people might say, well, what about Sebastian Vettel or what about Fernando Alonso? Those two drivers are also coming to the end of their F1 careers, and also, it would take something special for Alpine or Aston Martin to become a team as quick and as good as Red Bull. Instead of me though just saying if this and if that, let me lay out how I think the top teams are going to do between now and 2026. So for this year, Red Bull and Verstappen have things wrapped up, but next year, we will see, I think, a repeat of 2021 with Mercedes and Red Bull fighting tooth and nail for the 2 main prizes again. That battle will result in Lewis Hamilton getting his revenge, winning a record 8th Drivers' World Championship, cementing himself as the undisputed greatest driver of all time, and then riding off into the sunset. This will then leave Max for 2024 and 2025 with Leclerc and Russell as his main rivals, but I think Max wins in both of these years for reasons previously mentioned. Charles' contract does end at the end of 2024, so for the following year and beyond, it will be interesting to see what he decides to do. If Leclerc does decide though to leave and join, let's say, Mercedes, then that really could affect Max's chances of multiple titles going forward, as Leclerc would then be racing for a much more competent outfit. The only other teams that have the potential to join the top teams before 2026 as top teams, I would say, are McLaren and Alpine due to their current position in the midfield and the quality possessed at both teams. All that is needed at this point from both of those teams is a faster car, but for me, between now and 2026, Max is most likely to achieve the most success out of anyone. At the end of the day, what we're starting to see with Verstappen is what he was destined to become. Max is not just another good or very good F1 driver. His talent and ability puts him in a different league. He has, Verstappen, the talent and ability to become one of the greatest drivers of all time, and certainly the skill necessary to dominate an era of Formula 1. Now, whether he will actually go down as one of the best drivers of all time, I don't know. There is still a long way to go in his Formula 1 career. Maybe he won't be as good at the end of his career as I expected. That is possible. But he does have everything you need to accomplish that. Fangio, Stewart, Prost, Senna, Schumacher, Vettel and Hamilton are some of the drivers to dominate their own respective eras, and that is now Verstappen's destiny. But do you guys think Max will fulfill that destiny? Let me know in the comments section below. But guys, until my next video, it has been me, ChazzaHD. Goodbye.